Hi, I'm Denise. Welcome back to Savvy and Free. In my first video, I shared what this channel is all about: financial freedom and travel hacks. Today, I want to take you a little deeper into my story because I didn't just wake up one day and decide I wanted to retire early. It took me years of intentional choices, mindset shifts, and learning how to value freedom over stuff. So I'm sharing my story as a way to motivate you to make changes in your life and to find ways that work for you. I realize that what I did may not work for everyone. So I really want this to be a community of sharing. As I'm telling my story, please add comments below on what you can relate to and what you can maybe use, and other suggestions of things you've done that you feel like sharing. And remember, what you share may motivate someone else. That's what makes having a safe space in a community like this so great. So let's keep the comments positive and non judgmental, as we haven't walked in the other person's shoes. So now I want to share a little bit more about my retirement journey. I really started thinking about my retirement in my early 20s. The first real job I had after college was in human resources and the area of benefits. So I conducted new hire orientation with employees, and I explained things like health insurance, paid time off, and retirement planning. And I remember thinking, most of these people aren't even paying attention to me, and some even fell asleep during my presentation. But I was paying attention. It just took me a while to take action myself. So years later, I started practicing what I preached. And I realized if I saved consistently, I could buy myself choices in my future. So every time I got a raise, I increased my retirement contribution. Even if it was just 1%, I made that change. And I lived like I didn't get the raise. And my future self, aka today, thanked me. Next, I want to spend a few minutes talking to you about one of the most powerful tools that we have available to us. And it's especially powerful the younger you are. It's still a very powerful tool, even if you're older, but it's called the power of compounding. So, the power of compounding is something I explained to those new hires back in my first job. And it's a really powerful tool. And if you have a span of time, 10 years, 20 years, even 30 years, all the way up to 50 years if you're really young, to start savings, it's a really powerful tool. So let me go over this example with you. So in this example, I have two people: Janet, as indicated by the yellow bar graph, and then Tom, who has the orange bar graph. So these people are in two different spaces of their life. So Janet's younger, she's 27, she's single, she's just getting started out in her career, and she's making $50,000 a year. Tom, he's a little bit older, he's 35, he's married, he's got a couple kids, he makes $70,000 a year, but he has been struggling to save. So he's getting a later start in life because he's now 35 when he starts saving. So they both start saving 10% of their salaries. So for Janet, that's $5,000 a year. And for Tom, that's $7,000 a year. But as you'll see in the graph, over time, since Janet is starting earlier when she's 27, they're both working towards saving at age 67, respectively, for each of them. So as they're both saving, Janet's saving less, but she's saving longer. So as you can see in the bar graph here, when Janet hits the ripe old age of 67, she has just under $700,000. And I've used both examples that they're invested in the stock market and they're making a modest return of 5% each, as an example. So Tom, when he hits 67, he is going to have just a little over $500,000. And that's really because he started saving at an older age. And again, this is a powerful tool for anybody to use, but the younger you are when you start saving, the bigger the benefits could be. So I just wanted to share this with you. And side note, so as a young adult, I loved escaping Indiana winters, even if it was just for a weekend warm somewhere. But I couldn't really afford much because I wasn't making a whole lot. But I made the best of it. And I'll share more tidbits on some of my travel hacks in a future video. So even though I was saving back then, it felt like I really wasn't getting ahead. I was moving forward, but that account balance really wasn't growing as fast as I wanted it to do. And I knew I was doing a lot of the right things, but I knew I needed to save more. Because when I started working, my first job out of college, out of 1992, I was only making a little over $20,000 a year. And I I did a calculation of what that would be in present value dollars, and that's $44,000 a year, given the cost of inflation. Wasn't a lot of money then, and it's still not a lot of money now. So, what did I do? I had to make some trade offs. So, this is where the mind shift started. And I stopped chasing things and I started choosing things. So, I really stopped spending money trying to impress other people because, after all, I really didn't care what they thought. So, for me, that meant no designer bags, no fancy clothing, unless, of course, it was deeply discounted on the clearance rack, and no new car every few years, like some of my family members still do today. So instead, I increased my savings. First, I got it up to 10% and then 15% and eventually higher. And I said no to things that drained me, and I said yes to things that really helped fill me up, like being out in nature, taking walks, reading books from the library. They're free, by the way. Attending free concerts in the local neighborhood, and finding just time that was quiet and that really helped refresh me and my mental health. And I didn't do everything perfectly in the beginning, but I kept showing up for the life I wanted, not the life that other people expected. And yes, I actually got teased for driving those cars, and I would keep my cars for 10 years or beyond. But that car and keeping that old car helped me grow my savings, and that made me really happy. Next, I'll show you an example. So in this example, I wanted to show you what it looks like not to have a car payment. So I mentioned to you, I kept cars for a long time. So this is a picture, good old Nissan Altima, and I've had two of those during my life. And looking back, I drove both of them 12 years each. But in this example, we're going to look at having no car payment for 10 years just to keep the math simple. So let's say it takes you 5 years to pay off a car. And then what a lot of people do is they go back and get a new one and just keep repeating the cycle of updating their cars just because, cars change a lot, technology changes, and so why not? You can afford it, right? So, but what I did was I would keep the cars. So, let's say your car payment's $500 a month and you save that money for 12 months. So for your first year, you now have an extra $6,000 either in your bank, or you can now invest that in your savings for your future in your retirement plan. And after 2 years, you now have $12,000 that you've saved by not getting a new car. And after 5 years, as you can see here, you have a whopping $30,000. This money is not compounded and it is not invested on the chart. So imagine how that money would grow if you're investing it in your retirement or even keeping it in a savings account like a CD or something, money market that's making a little more interest. But investing it in your retirement is probably one of your better options. So you could save up to $30,000 just by not getting a new car. Pretty cool, huh? And even if you have to have car repairs on that car, you have saved $30,000. So putting an extra, 2,000 to 5,000 into that car just to keep driving it, for me, that was a worthy investment. So what can you expect with Savvy and Free? So on this journey, I'll be sharing real life ways of how you can build financial confidence, travel smarter, and even stretch your money further, and define what freedom looks like for you. You don't need to have it all figured out yet. As Arthur Ashe, a famous American tennis player, once said, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. And that's exactly what I did, and you can too. So back then, my vacations were short, rushed, and squeezed in between project deadlines. Now I travel slower, stay longer, and really live in the spaces that I visit. That freedom didn't happen overnight, but it did happen one intentional choice at a time. So let me repeat an important point that I mentioned earlier. You don't have to have it all figured out today. You just need a starting point. And that's where I hope I can help you with. So are you ready? Are you ready to live with more intention? If so, go ahead and subscribe today so you don't miss out on a future video. And feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know what you're most excited to learn. And I'm even open to hearing your suggestions of what topics you'd like for me to talk about. And if this video has helped inspire you, please share it with someone you know who's ready for a fresh start. This is Denise at Savvy and Free. Let's do this together. Now, next time, I'll be sharing tips on how to stop overspending without feeling deprived.